Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization, progressing through loads, reps, and sets. This is video number 8 in our beginner training for hypertrophy video lecture series. Load progression, rep progression, and set progression. How do they work in beginners? Load progression is a very interesting one. We'll spend some decent time on this. Rep progression is quite straightforward, and set progression you already learned a lot about. Load progression, which is to say, how much weight do you add to the bar and when, week to week to week of their plan. Big facts coming up. Huge thing coming up. As close to a hard rule as we get to in sports science. If they can't demonstrate stable, good, I don't mean great, I mean good, stable, good technique on an exercise, you do not add load. Period. If that means that for weeks they're using an empty bar, so they are. And if they're like, hey, when are we going to add weight? When you do the shit right. Now, you don't say that. You say, hey, we're just working into it. We want to make sure you get a real good understanding of technique first. The good news is this is almost never going to happen. Almost everyone picks up the technique within a few sessions and they're doing it okay enough for you to add some weight. The best way to apply this isn't to say, look, we're going to keep everyone at the 45-pound bar for 3 months. The best way to apply it is this. You're going to add load. And as a matter of fact, the next point is if they can demonstrate stable technique, decent technique, you can add like 5 pounds or 2.5 pounds or whatever to the bar, to the machine, or to the implement, the dumbbell, whatever. A small increment goes up. That's usually going to work and it's going to work well. And week after week, you're going to be adding load. What's going to happen is at some point, they might have a week or a session where the weight's now pretty heavy and they start to lose their technique. They start to wobble. They start to cut the range. They start to cheat. Let's say that they started squatting, and once they put some weight on the bar, they were doing sets of 8 with 65 pounds total. So you had a couple of real good weeks, good technique, and they got to about 95 pounds. And at 95 pounds, that first session that they tried it, their technique looked notably off. It could be off for who knows, God knows what reason. You don't know, they don't know. Guess what weight they're using in their next session for that exercise, for squats? What do you think? 95 pounds, the same weight. And they may even ask you, like, hey, didn't we use 95 pounds last time? You go, yep. But what I want you to do is extra super focus on technique this time to get even more out of the same weight. Notice how I put that. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't like, well, you didn't earn the weight. I mean, in a sense, yeah, that's true, but like, it's not how you're going to communicate it most times. You're telling them, look, you can get more out of the same weight just by focusing on better technique. And that statement isn't a trick. It's not a lie. It's not lie by omission. It's literally true. Because their technique was notably off from decent, when they do that weight with decent technique, and remember, most times for hypertrophy training, better technique means it makes the exercise harder, not easier. That means just by improving their technique, they get 2 things done. 1, they improve their technique, which is great for safety and effect and long-term learning, but also they get a harder workout for that target muscle with the same weight. If you let your clients get away with bad technique and you still add more load to the bar, you are quickly you're going to run away. You're going to spiral out of control. Remember, your clients know what's going on. They know they got 8 reps last time with 105 pounds. They want 115 this time or 110. They want 8 reps again. And last time you didn't correct their technique sufficiently. Last time you didn't stop the load progression. They think that their technique was just fine, or they just don't care because you didn't remind them. You allowed them to do this. If you have a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, and they're taking their nacho cheese off their plate and they're splattering it on the walls, guess what they don't get to do? Eat nacho cheese again until they can demonstrate that they don't splatter it on the walls. Just the same way, until you can show me good technique. You don't need more load. It's not deserve. This is such thing as deserve. You deserve, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, all of you deserve to lift 1,000 pounds in some weird, non-existent moral framework. It's not about deserve. It's about Do you need that thing? If you take your gas pedal in your car and you press it halfway down and never floor it, even on the freeway, and your car goes 50 miles an hour at fastest, do you need to go and get that 4-cylinder engine replaced with an 8-cylinder engine? No. Oh, hold on a sec. Are you saying I don't deserve an 8-cylinder engine? Bro, you deserve a V12. Get yourself a dual V12 and rock it away. What I'm saying is if you have a 4-cylinder and you're only ever pushing the gas pedal halfway, try pushing it all the way down. And you won't have to go get your engine replaced for thousands of dollars, because what you have already in the engine may make you go as fast as you ever wanted to go. In exactly the same way, we can get more of a stimulus out of the same level of load without having to increase it just by fixing technique. Now, that doesn't apply if your technique is good. If you have great technique and you're like doing a set of 8 and you're no longer challenged, you're like, I can do 12 here, no problem. Well, yeah, you need more weight on the bar. We're here for a challenge. And you can't say, well, just improve your technique more. Motherfucker, I already am improved my technique. My technique's great. Anyone comes around, even smart people that know training, like, that's good technique. And like, well, I'm just trying to keep it light. Now, that's just bullshit conservatism for no reason. That's just you're scared to load the client. Get out of here with that nonsense. But God damn it, if your technique isn't decent, do not use more weight for 2 reasons. 1, you don't want to spiral out of control and just get worse and worse and worse at lifting weights and get a higher percentage of injury and more egotistically attached to being stronger. So you have to load renorm later. And 2, literally focusing on better technique that next session or next 2 or next 3, who knows, sessions will allow you to get more growth and more growth and more growth from the same weight. I mean, magic. I mean, can you imagine if there was some kind of weird nano cyber technique you could do that you could just progress in some kind of micro technical adjustments for 3 years and grow all the muscle you ever wanted from only lifting 95 pounds? Oh my God, sign me up for that. You guys think I like loading 400 pounds onto a bar and watching the steel bend while I'm not even touching it? Be like, God damn it, why do I have to do this? Oh yeah, because my quads won't grow from anything less. Adding load is not it's not a privilege, it's not a right, it's not I deserve, it's about effect. And if we can get a better long-term and short-term effect from just focusing more on technique, we got a winner, especially for beginners. If they can demo stable technique and it's pretty good, add weight. But last thing here on load progression, don't let beginners, especially in the first 6 months to a year, get beyond 1 or 2 reps in the tank. You don't drive beginners to failure, because muscular failure in beginners with their as yet not so ingrained technique will almost always cause them to get really out of their technical groove. And there's nothing results-wise being 1 or 2 reps shy of failure that going to failure can't get you with but 1 added set or a few literally extra reps if you take a break. Beginners are not constrained in their ability to grow muscle. That's for intermediates and advanced to worry about. When you're advanced, yeah, some sets you better grind to failure and beyond if you want the best gains. Beginners do not need to do that. And guess what? Almost all of them think they need to do that. I want to try harder. Shut up and do the right technique. Kidding. Don't tell your clients that. There's something there. Next, rep progression. Typically, because you want to stay in that 5 to 10 rep range, you progress in load. But sometimes you can't progress in load because the jumps would be too big. If your client has access to the 10-pound dumbbells and then the 15-pound dumbbells, if they can do dumbbell upright rows for a set of 8 with the 10s, what do you think they can do with the 15s? Well, like if they can squat 100 pounds for 8, what can they squat 150 pounds for? I don't know, 1, maybe 0. You don't just jump from the 10s into the 15s. So where's that load progression? And also that's just 1 week. What do you do? The 20s next? What are you, nuts? So you do sets of 8 with the 10s next week. If the technique is stable, if they're not hitting really close to failure, you add another rep. You say, okay, sets of 9, sets of 10, sets of 11, and so on and so forth. You can even go up to sets of 10 to 15 reps if that's such a big jump to the next weight. So if you're doing the 10s, you can get up to doing the 10s for sets of 15. And then after a few weeks of that, nice and challenging, you're like, okay, I think I'm ready for the 15s. Then the 15s you may be able to do for sets of 5 or 6. And then you're up on that reps again, adding reps until you can do sets of 8 and 9 and 10 with the 15s. And then your shoulders are just gigantic and everything's going super well. That's going to take you months to be able to do that. Only change the load when that jump in repetitions isn't massive anymore. For the time being, you can add reps. And if your clients are really constrained, that they really just don't have a lot of weights around, tell them to buy some fucking weights. But if they really don't, they for some reason can't, then it's okay to go to 10 to 15 reps. Even 15 to 20 rep sets are totally fine if you have to do them. Ideally, you add load before them, but if not, rep progressions are totally cool. And the same exact thing applies to reps as load about needing to demonstrate good, solid technique. If your technique is good with sets of 6, you get to do sets of 7. If your technique is meh with sets of 6, next week you do sets of 6 again, except now with good technique. Because remember, just the same way, those 6 repetitions are going to be more growth promoting when you do the right technique. So that 6 last week wasn't as stimulative as the 6 with better technique this week. Lastly, set progression, which you probably know already all about since we really hinted at it hardcore in the last couple lectures. If the client is not sore for their next session, and if they're really like not getting sore or they're healing way ahead of it, and they're feeling really strong and capable, add a set over the course of a week. So say they do 2 sets and they get nice and sore, don't touch anything. Next week is 2. They do 2 sets, they get a little bit sore, and don't touch anything, better safe than sorry. Next week they do 2 sets and they like barely got sore, not at all. Go to 3 sets the week after. No problem. However, again, just like last time, quality first, which means now 2 things. We have this layer system. In the first, most baseline layer, technique is the most important. In the second layer, if your technique is good, you get to add load or you get to add reps. Layer 2. If adding load or reps gets you to go hard in each set, 2, 3 reps away from failure or something like that, and that's not enough of a stimulus to get you tired and sore, etc., then you add a set. But if either one of those 2 baseline conditions are not met in sequence, you do not add sets, which means what? You have to have quality technique if you're going to add sets, and your per set training, every set needs to be hard and stimulative, 2 to 3 reps shy of failure, something like that, a little bit of a grind, in order for you to say, I'm going to add sets. Because if your technique sucks, you don't have to add sets to add stimulus. You can just add better technique and automatically the stimulus goes up. Problem solved. And simply, I might add, it's like pressing the gas pedal all the way down. You don't need to go to the mechanics and get an engine ripped out and put in. You just go like this, the easiest thing in the world. If your technique is good, but you're not pushing yourself on the sets, if the client does like a bench press and they're like, okay, that's 8, I'm done. You're like, what? You could have done like 18 more. And they're like, well, I don't know. It's still pretty tough. Get out of here. Get the bar again. Keep going. If the per set training with the load that they've ascended to, with the reps that they've worked up to, if it's hard and they're recovering super easy, hey, shit, add some sets. A set per week. I should make sure that's clear. If, however, even if their technique is good, but they're kind of mailing it in on the sets, it's just not very challenging, you do not have to add sets. You just say, hey, next week, still doing 4 sets. We're going to increase the load. We're going to increase maybe a rep or 2, and I want you to get into it. Your technique's great. We're going to fucking grind. And they're like, oh, God, okay. You don't need any more sets. If your technique needs a lot of work, you do that first. Otherwise, more sets is actually a really bad thing. It's more practice, more neural learning that's semi-permanent. And that's bad practice. You're learning how to do things wrong more. That's the last thing you want to do. If you're teaching someone how to speak English or Spanish or French, and they're saying the word totally fucking wrong, the last thing you want to do is be like, good, okay. Just like that, I want you to say that word every morning 5 times. No, say it 0 times. Next time you try to say that word, make sure it's around me. I'll correct you and we'll try to say the right word. I want you to say the wrong word as little as possible. I want you to do insufficiently good technique as little as possible. Fewer sets with bad technique is better than more sets with bad technique. And in just the same way, if your effort needs work, so long as your technique is good, take care of that first. Otherwise, multiple sets of poor quality effort is just a poor efficiency. You got your client in there doing 5 sets, but they could spend a fraction of the time doing 3 sets, 3 good hard sets is going to get you the same growth as 5 crappy sets, but with fewer sets, less hassle. In the future, I really want you guys to think of that layering system, that pyramid system. The foundation of the pyramid is good technique. Until that gets better or decent, nothing moves. The second layer is load and or reps. And until they're grinding pretty hard, load and or reps go up. If both of those are met and they're still recovering super easy and for sure can do more and benefit, then you add sets. That's the magic formula. Give that some thought, and I'll see you guys next time.